Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the CiL GT3 Challenge here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. I'm Matthew Nordberg. Joining me up in the booth tonight is Christian Hill. We are in for a fantastic race tonight as we get set here for qualifying starting momentarily for our student class. Looking a bit to the circuit information here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Current weather is 76 degrees Fahrenheit with 71% humidity, clear skies, and a 7-mile-per-hour wind. Track length is 2.04 miles. Lots of turns around this track. Full course here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, including that Sector 3 chicane. Christian, I think it's going to be a fantastic race tonight. I think this is a circuit that's going to provide these drivers a lot of different challenges, and it's definitely a unique one on the calendar.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting race tonight, especially with this just a fantastic track that this is. Unfortunately, I have actually never been able to drive this specifically here in iRacing, but now that I have the track, I think I'm going to look forward to driving this, especially after I see some of this racing tonight. But yeah, it's gonna be good. Last week we were at Interlago, or excuse me, we were at oh geez, where were we last week?
We were at
Or last
Laguna
2 weeks
Seca.
ago. Laguna Seca, thank you. I got too much Interlagos on the brain. Laguna Seca, where we started out the first race with the two leaders crashing into each other and taking each other out. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how this next race goes, if they're kind of more spread apart maybe and give each other a little bit more space. So definitely interested in seeing how this race ends up.
Absolutely. I think we're in for a great show, and I think there's plenty of corners around this track to see some sort of action. Turn one, obviously a favorite overtaking spot of most people, but if you're brave enough, you can get it done really into any sector, into any corner of these tracks almost. It seems like a mistake can really cause some drivers to lose a lot of speed, as we are currently in our first 10 minutes of qualifying right now. For those of you who are new to the CIL, we do have two classes. Our first class, which you can see associated with the 3-digit number and the red decals on their car. That's the alumni class. Those drivers have graduated and are representing their school as alumni. Drivers you see with the blue decals and the 2-digit numbers, those cars are the student class. They are current students at that university, and they are racing in a separate championship from the alumni. So they race together, but the points are separate. First 10 minutes of qualifying are exclusively for the alumni, and the second 10 are for the students.
Yeah, and even though they race together and everything scored differently, it still adds into a lot of the racing and the driving and everything, because you have alumni fighting for this position, because not only do we score separate alumni points and student points, but we also score overall points. And some drivers care about one or the other, and so it's even though you have those different points, people still care, and there's still that fighting, that's still that racing instinct in you to say, I don't care who this guy ahead of me is. I want to get past him. You might be a little more lenient, but most of the time, there's still racing drivers underneath, and they still want to end up on top no matter who it is.
Yeah, absolutely, Christian. That's a great point. As we are looking with Nicholas Daly right now, the 280 machine, that Mercedes-Benz car out of the University of Texas at Arlington. And one thing to note for those of you also new to the CIL is that once you pick a car to start the season in this GT3 challenge, you are locked into that car for the rest of the year. Take Nick here as he drives down the front straightaway, trying to improve on his best lap of a 144 flat. Let's say Nicholas decides he started the season in the Mercedes, he wants to go to the Porsche. Any drivers who change cars over the course of the season will incur an end-of-line penalty for race one. There are two races each evening. The first race, 25 minutes. Order set by the qualifying times on your screen now. The second race of the evening, top 12 are inverted from race 1. 13th to the back of the field will stay the same position from race 1 to race 2, as it looks like our students are getting ready to line up on the exit of pit road, as currently Nick Daly has a field leading time of the alumni right now for a 1:43.5.
Yeah, and like you said, they're locked into these cars for this race. Although they are locked into these cars for this race, they are still allowed to change cars, but they do incur an ELL penalty for the race that they are doing that for. So for instance, if Nicholas Patinello were to change to a Mercedes, he would have to take an EOL for that race that he is now driving the Mercedes, to kind of give it a bit of a fair aspect of it.
Absolutely, Christian. As our students begin their outlaps now, streaking out of the pit lane, we have Hunter Hidesti here out of Clemson University in the 888 BMW coming around the last corner one final time to see if he can improve on his qualifying time. Comes across the line now, and he's going to improve a little bit, but it's not going to be able to put him up any more positions in the qualifying order. Currently P3 in the alumni right now, but as these students begin to figure things out and set some lap times, that is going to change. There is no split between the alumni and the students in the qualifying session, or once the race session starts. Just like how you would see prototypes and GT cars maybe separate during a lap on the formation lap, you will not see that with these cars. They all start at the same time in the same formation.
Yeah, and that can definitely be a rough aspect to it. I mean, granted, they're all GT3 cars, so you're able to kind of have that same speed differential. I mean, you might have a few hundredths of a second compared to the two cars, depending on the track, depending on the driver, depending on the setup. But overall, they're pretty much the same speed, so you won't have too much of an issue. Although it still does take a bit of getting used to these kind of open formats. Last night in particular, we were at with Formula C racing. We were at Lime Rock, and Lime Rock, not a very large track, but definitely a difficult one to do group qualifying because you're always trying to find that perfect spot to go out where maybe you'll have a bit of draft from the person behind you, but also you're not going to run into anyone on a slow lap in front of you. It's really just some it takes some luck to get a good lap out there sometimes.
Absolutely. As our students begin their flying laps, we're going to ride on board with our Muhammad Alif. We're going to take you around this Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Hard on the brakes into turn one. This is your best overtaking opportunity. You really got to ride those curbs in order to get the best speed out of that car. Really shorten the distance between turn one and two. As you come around turn three, it's such a open turn. Super difficult to get on the, or super easy to get on the power early, but you can really wash out wide if you're not careful. Coming into turn four, it's also easy to get super deep here on the corner, but really want to hug that curb, make the line as short as possible around the track, and turn 5 comes up quickly after turn 4, hard on the brakes, and you want to hug that corner, and you want a good exit. You want to prioritize the exit rather than the entry into turn 5. Coming down to the next corner, this is almost flat, but you really got to lift off the brakes just a little bit of gas at the exit, and you don't want to go too wide because that sausage curb is going to trip you up as they come down to turn 7 toward this back straightaway. Just a little bit of a lift there from our Muhammad Alif. He's done a great job so far in this lap, nice and smooth as they come down. Probably the second best overtaking spot in the track, entering the third sector. It'd be a bit tricky, and you can definitely overshoot your braking points for that corner and definitely get on the gas too early. So it's compromise on the entry and compromise on the exit sometimes as they come around the final sector now. Coming up to the tricky, slow final couple corners here. It's a right, you're on the gas for a little bit, a left-right chicane. Before a flat-out burst of the start-to-finish straight. Our Muhammad Alif right now, our first student to cross the line here momentarily out of Ball State University. We'll see what kind of time he can put in.
Yeah, I have no doubt he's going to put up pole right now. What an exceptional driver he is. And there I am, right? He pulled a 143.48, and I can only expect that to go down. Through the ranks. I'm expecting maybe a 142 low around here. I think he can drop another good second off of this as he gets warmed up here in qualifying, and maybe he'll even catch a draft from another driver, which will boost him a lot. There's quite a few straightaways, especially that front stretch. If you can grab a draft on someone, you're able to grab quite a few seconds off of your time, or maybe not seconds, but maybe a second off of your time with that draft there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the car right behind our Muhammad Alif is Jordan Johnson. Jordan Johnson and our Muhammad Alif are both rapid drivers. I think we've seen in Formula C and the GT3 Challenge just how competitive these two drivers can be. And when you get two quick competitive drivers fighting for wins and championship positions, there's going to be a couple incidents, a couple coming togethers. I think we've seen that this season so far multiple times. 2 weeks ago for the GT3 Challenge at Laguna Seca was really the first coming together we saw between Jordan Johnson and our Muhammad Alif. And then last night in the Formula C race, they also came together. And I think there's a little bit of animosity from Jordan Johnson about that contact last night in Formula C. So that might be playing on his mind a little bit as he didn't like that last lap and he pulled it into the pits as our Muhammad Alif comes around to finish his second lap now.
Yeah, I believe Jordan Johnson actually ended up going a little too wide on that. His back end ended up slipping out a little bit. He didn't go. I think he got an off track, which inevitably will DQ you from that specific lap. So your lap will not count, or not DQ you, but it will it'll invalidate that lap that you are on currently. So it is much better to just kind of go back to the pits, grab a new set of tires, and get on your way. So yeah, it's definitely he's gonna try that lap again there.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like a lot of our current drivers on in the qualifying session are on outlaps right now. Right now, we're looking with Ian Brown out of Mesa Community College. He's a bit further down the field right now, but one of the few cars running that Ferrari. Not a lot of people out there rocking the Ferrari, but it can definitely be a quick car, especially in the straightaways. So I think really around this track, since it can be very difficult to overtake, I think it's so important to be able to have a car that's good down the straights, but not too bad down the corners. And really, if you're crap in the corners, it's not going to help you on the straightaways either.
Yeah, there's only a few Ferraris out there. Same with one McLaren and a few BMWs. We mainly see Porsches out here, and I don't believe we have one Lamborghini tonight. So definitely the car of choice tonight is the Porsche. So we might have a few cars taking the ULs. Porsche, I believe, has been our majority car tonight. But definitely definitely the car to go, and it's been the car for quite a while. I mean, yeah, there's been cars here and there when the Ferrari got pulled in, when the Mercedes got pulled in into new updates and released the new car. But the end all be all for most drivers right now, and for the past few seasons have definitely been the Porsche. It's definitely a car favorite. But I think the majority is Porsche. We have next, I think it's probably Mercedes with 5 entries. Then we have 3 entries from a BMW, one entry from a McLaren, 2 entries from a Ferrari, and I think one entry from a Lamborghini. So definitely an interesting field tonight, and I'll be interested in seeing what cars end up top, because our top two or I guess our top pole position is a Mercedes, but for alumni it's Nicholas Daly. So and also a Mercedes. So we'll definitely see what car kind of has the guts to get it around this track a little faster.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that disappoints me as an Audi driver in iRacing is the lack of Audis in the field tonight. I love that car. I don't know why people hate it so much. I think it just has a reputation to be a bit difficult to drive. Uh, but I'm not particularly fast, and I just like that the Audi can rotate without me trying too hard. And then for some people, it rotates a bit too much, but so be it.
Yeah, the Audi's definitely an interesting car to drive. I've had the pleasure of driving it once or twice around a few circuits. So it's a weird car to drive. I agree with other people. I'm more of a Lamborghini driver myself. I prefer that just the feel of the car. It's not too kind of heavy on the nose. I feel like it has a very equal balance throughout the entire car. Um, the Audi's a very front heavy car in my opinion. With that, but I don't know, and I don't really know why that is either. I'm no race engineer, I'll say that. But all these cars have different feels. I know the Porsche is very kind of on the edge if you're driving it, as well as like I said, I think the McLaren. That's a bit weird. I own the McLaren, but I don't often drive it. I couldn't really speak on the kind of aspects of it. I've heard the Mercedes and the Ferrari are just well-rounded cars in general. You can get them both ways depending on how you have that set up. But as we watch Austin DeLong here in a Porsche, you gotta see as he goes around some of those corners, as he may take some of those edges and bumps and stuff. You can see the car get unsettled a little, but he's able to still kind of rein it in and use that to his advantage to kind of get the car turning through the turns.
Yeah, absolutely. As I think a lot of our drivers are still on outlaps again, but currently 12 drivers in the field right now is qualifying times. The rest may be just sitting back and either taking end of line penalties, or they just really don't want to qualify. They want to start in the back and gain some spots through racing. As we see Austin DeLong come through this tricky chicane here, and this is such an important spot for drivers because if you navigate the chicane well, it's going to set you up fantastically for a good run down the front stretch and maybe potentially set up a move for an overtake in the race. But in qualifying, all that matters right now is lap time. as Austin DeLong puts in another good lap time of a 45.733. That is his best lap of qualifying so far. As Art Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University still stands atop the leaderboard with a 143.482. That was his first lap time, and he hasn't been able to improve on it. So we'll see what he can do this time by.
Yeah, and you mentioned penalties in EOLs, and we do have a finalized list. If you were not in our CIL Discord, or you were not given this sheet or kind of told by other people, we do have quite a few EOL penalties from Laguna Seca carrying over. First and most interesting, most kind of, I guess, detrimental being Jordan Johnson will receive an end of the line penalty for the first heat race of this race specifically, and this kind of applies to all of these next penalties or EOLs that I'm going to read off. These are all for the first heat and the first heat only. So that second heat is not the feature race is not applied to any of these EOLs. So the following next car. So I mentioned Jordan Johnson. Then we have Kyle Bonin receiving EOL. We have Corner. I believe that is how it's said, but
yeah.
I don't. Tony Corner, yes.
Yeah.
Alexander Hogarth will receive one as well. Who else? We have Cohen Evans, and then we have the car. Oh, okay, those were already listed. My bad. And the car 716, which will be, oh gosh, I don't believe they've showed up tonight, but they were given an EOL for improperly placed numbers or missing decals for the CIL rulebook. That's essentially kind of just how their car is done. So every car in CIL has either blue or red kind of tips on their fronts, as I believe you said earlier, on their windshield banner or something like that, and that just kind of defines what the class of the driver is. And if they don't have that or they're missing that, you do receive an EOL for the next race.
Yeah, absolutely, Christian. That leads us nicely into our first race of the evening. Going through the grid right now, Art Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University is going to be your pole position winner for the evening. Nicholas Daly out of UT Arlington lines up to his outside in second position. Jordan Johnson qualified third, but will be taking an end-of-line penalty for an incident that occurred in the previous race. Nicholas Patnell out of Robert Morris will line up fourth, and Hunter Hidesti, the Clemson University driver, alumni, in fifth. Thomas Crump out of Clemson also in sixth, and Justin Frederick out of Minnesota State will be seventh. Cale Davidson out of Ball State will line up eighth, and Ian Brown out of Mesa Community College lines up ninth. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair in 10th, and Austin DeLong in 11th. Jonathan Webb out of UNC Charlotte will round out your top 12.
Yep, catching up 13th, we have Blake Ellison, and then we have followed by. Oh, excuse me. Actually, can you finish that?
Absolutely. And then Tyler Stone rounds out 14th from St. Clair College. Kyle Bonin out of Clemson University. That 260 machine is 15th. He'll be getting an end-of-line penalty. Cohen Evans will get an end-of-line penalty as well out of IUPUI. Tony Corner out of Michigan Tech, you'll get an end-of-line penalty. Alex Hogarth also getting an end-of-line penalty for incidents that occurred in the previous race. And last in the field, Jacob Cummings out of Wingate University will be probably starting in front of all those end-of-line penalty drivers, but he's starting at the back of the field since he did not set a qualifying time.
Yeah, apologies about that. I I had some radio chatter going on in my ear, and I had to quickly turn it down. But the important part about this, though, is although Jordan Johnson is getting an EOL penalty, he still wanted to qualify. And some of these drivers might have still wanted to qualify because they want to make sure that they beat out the other drivers who get an EOL. So, for instance, if Jordan Johnson didn't qualify and then Alexander Hogarth did qualify, Alexander Hogarth would be starting in front of Jordan Johnson because Alexander Hogarth. It kind of goes down to that priority. You're still set at the end of the line of everyone else, but then you take in those other people who might not, who also might have had an EOL, and you kind of make a little qualifying amongst those groups of people. So it is still a thing to kind of be wary about, and we'll see Jordan Johnson kind of step off to the side as well as some of these other drivers and let the pack go by so he can sit at the back, get himself situated, and we'll get the race on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Johnson serving his end-of-line penalty now, as it looks like Muhammad Alif is going to lead the field of green. Nicholas Daly out of VT Arlington put up a good fight in qualifying, just couldn't quite get there in the end, only a couple hundredth off. And we saw a great battle between these two drivers in the Formula C series last night in the IR04 car. Fantastic series that is. If you can tune in on Mondays nights, be sure to check it out. Same place, same time, but now it is time for the GT3 Challenge here in the CIL. Drivers lining up to get ready for the start of the race, and R. Muhammad Alif already books it down the front straightaway. He's got a great jump on Nicholas Daly. Daly was caught sleeping on that last corner, but R. Muhammad Alif is going to lead the field of green here for the GT3 Challenge. Further back, Justin Fradrick is making up spots out of Minnesota State University. He's going to be looking to make a move on the inside of Nicholas Daly going into turn one.
As we see Nicholas Daly go down the side, R. Muhammad Leaf still taking the lead as we see them kind of go wide through that turn, trying to avoid the sausage curbs, but also trying to avoid the rest of the pack there. As we can still continue to see Ian Brown, right? Yeah, Ian Brown continue on, who is from Mesa Community College. Hunter Hedesti still trying to keep his third place position, maybe making some moves on Nicholas Daly there, trying to get on the inside. As we come up behind, R. Muhammad Alif is actually just rocketing ahead in this initial first lap.
Yeah, I think Nicholas Daly had a poor start. He wasn't ready for the jump, and I think Hunter Hedesti overtook him, but he got Hedesti back into the middle sector now as Nicholas Daly seems to be leading his way back to second place right now, but further back in the pack, it's close racing right now as Thomas Crump looks to get past Nicholas Patinella out of Robert Morris University, Thomas Crump out of Clemson.
Yeah, and we've already had three drivers given an EOL penalty. Oh, sorry. those are for last race. I saw them in the chat, but yeah, as this is we continue on. This R. Muhammad Alif not really having anyone to fight with Jordan Johnson not being up there, so he's just soaring right along. As we did see just now, Justin Friedrich kind of giving up a bunch of positions. Maybe he kind of went off track and incurred a time slowdown penalty. But so far this race, I think we've had pretty clean racing. I don't believe we've had an incident so far, and that's what I like to hear. I think we've had a little too much incidents here and there, so I think I'm excited for some clean racing tonight.
Absolutely. I think Friedrich did get a slowdown penalty from iRacing, so he had to give up a ton of spots there. Now he's going to be under pressure from Daniel Hunter and Kyle Bonin behind us. Daniel Hunter looks to the inside, going down in turn one. Two Porsches late on the brakes, and into turn one. Looks like Friedrich's going to be just later on the brakes than Daniel Hunter behind him. But at the front of the field, R. Muhammad Alif setting a qualifying time on the first lap of the race. It looks like Kyle Bonin got contact from behind. He's spinning through turn three now, and he gets collected in the wreck.
Yeah, Kyle Bonin got spun out. He was able to save it, but Jacob Cummings could not avoid that incident and hit him right in the side. I think that definitely could have been an avoidable incident for Jacob Cummings. He could have went around the outside. I think he saw that the car was facing on the inside, and in my opinion, I would have avoided it that way. But that race is almost certainly done for Kyle Bonin and Jacob Cummings. I think that it's just been irreparable damage. I mean, they were still going for a while, so I can't see them having a decent race this heat one, but they'll definitely be back for the future.
Absolutely. We're going to get a quick replay momentarily, potentially, here of that incident, but we got some action throughout the field we want to keep an eye on. Live racing, always more exciting than replays, as it looks like Austin DeLong and Jonathan Webb are racing right now through the middle sector, up into the last sector. Cohen Evans behind them as Austin DeLong out of Pennsylvania College of Technology, and that blue 22 machine is doing a good job of holding off his position in ninth right now.
Yeah, Austin DeLong always having that bright blue car from.
It looks like Cohen Evans spins behind them too, coming out of the last corner. I think he got a bit up on the sausage curb.
Man, we have a lot of big name drivers tonight, not having great time tonight. We have Cohen Evans, Kyle Bonin, kind of both spinning out and getting spun out, I should say. And these are kind of two big name drivers that we usually see up in the front, so they're definitely having a rough time tonight. So we'd like to. This will make for an interesting race, and especially maybe an interesting feature race with these drivers possibly starting further in the back. But we still have 20 minutes to go, so there's plenty of time for them to catch up and pass a few other cars.
Absolutely, two 25-minute heat races. It looks like Justin Fradrick is trying to gain some spots he lost earlier against Alexander Hogarth. Up on the inside of turn 4, that's going to be a bold move, but he gets it done on Alex Hogarth. Justin Fradrick up another spot in the 13th after having some troubles early on. We're going to see if we can get a replay here of that crash we saw for Kyle Bonin. Kyle Bonin, I think he just got spun out, and I think, yeah, a little bit too late on that one. Ooh. We're just going to hit the rewind button there. Kyle Bond going into turn 3, and I think that's Jonathan Webb just behind him, just gets in the rear bumper, and Jordan Johnson almost collects him, but does a good job to avoid and continue his races. Kyle Bond, I believe, is out of this race now.
Yeah, and Race Control has noted the incident and is under investigation between the 91 car of Jonathan Webb, the 260 car of Kyle Bonin, and the 95 car of Jacob Cummings. So that is under investigation. We will have to see what these stewards say about that a little later on. But back to back to the races, we have Nicholas Patinella currently in 5th place, fighting hard with Ian Brown in P4. He's right on the back of him as they head into turn 1. Well, as he goes wide, let's see if we can make an overtake.
Yeah, it looks like Ian Brown got around the outside of Patinella going into that last sector, right before the chicane. That right-hander in front of it is Patinella goes wide through turn 2, and Jordan Johnson's going to look to his outside in turn 3. And I think Jordan Johnson, a little bit of contact between the two, and Jordan Johnson's not going to appreciate that, but he does a good job of collecting it, and he's going to have another chance to get back at Patinella, but not before Daniel Hunter jumps up in front of him. Sends it into turn 4 a little bit. Jordan Johnson makes contact with Daniel Hunter, and they continue to go on. I thought Daniel Hunter was done for there. He was sideways, but Hunter did a fantastic job of really making sure to control that car, as it looks like behind them, Jonathan Webb and Austin DeLong make a little contact going side by side in turn 6 there. I think there's a lot of rubbing for this race so far, only 6 minutes in.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting accident. I wouldn't really know where to put that incident on who's at fault. I mean, they kind of went into the turn with Daniel Hunter ahead of that turn, and he was able to have that. But then Jordan Johnson tried to make a pass on the inside, actually almost on the grass, but then Daniel Hunter then turned back in on Jordan Johnson. So not really sure how Race Control is going to feel about that from either situation. But the incident involving those two cars, Jordan Johnson and Daniel Hunter, has been noted by Race Control.
Yeah, we saw in the background there just now, Austin DeLong got a little bit squirrely coming into the last couple of corners, but he kept it under together. Jordan Johnson right now in that blue and white Porsche hunting down the McLaren of Robert Morris University's Nicholas Patinella, and it looks like he's going to have a good run going into turn 1 here. Patinella didn't give any room in turn 3. We'll see if Jordan Johnson gives any room in turn 1, as it looks like Johnson's going to tuck from out underneath the slipstream. He's going to make a move into turn 1 late on the brakes. Jordan Johnson does a good job. He's got the inside line. That's the preferred line, as he is able to get the move done. We'll see if Patinella can make the move into turn 3 and potentially return a little bit of a favor from Jordan Johnson. I think these two came together here last time by, as Patinella just can't quite get there, and Jordan Johnson's going to hold on to that 5th position.
I think Jordan Johnson has this now. He's passed him. He's by Nicholas Patinella, and he's on to his next person. He's hunting down Ian Brown now, and I'm not shocked, but I'm definitely impressed with Jordan Johnson with his driving skills. I mean, he started in the back and he's already up to P5. He's just rocking his way through. He's trying to hunt down these top 3s: Thomas Crump, Nicholas Daly, and Ari Muhammad Alif. I don't believe he'll be able to catch Muhammad Alif, but I definitely think he'll be able to kind of get himself up there, and so that they're next to each other for the future race.
Absolutely. We look further back in the field. Our Muhammad Alif's teammate, Cale Davidson, out of Ball State University, hustling the back of Blake Ellison out of Averett University. Looking to make a move here, potentially on the back straightaway into this last sector. That last sector, you don't want to be behind anybody just because of how tricky it can be to find your braking points behind the rear wing of another car, but Cale Davidson can't quite get there. Oh, but there's a mistake from Blake Ellison, and that's going to give Cale Davidson the position. Looks like Blake Ellison was just a little bit deep into the corner, and Cale Davidson said, "Thank you very much." Cale Davidson up another spot into 13th.
Yeah, Cale Davidson also, I believe, won another driver from Ball State University, the same as Muhammad Alif. And so he's able to kind of maybe learn from a bit of Alif in there, and kind of get some tips, get some tricks, and definitely helps him out in his driving. So I'm definitely interested in seeing the next of this racing.
Absolutely, as we see more racing here, as we just saw Jordan Johnson make a move on Ian Brown. Jordan Johnson making it look easy as he moves up into 4th position. He's now less than a second, he's a couple seconds behind the next car up the track. It's Thomas Crump. But it looks like there's a little bit of lap traffic up ahead. Thomas Crump in the purple BMW. Right behind him is Hunter Herdesty, I believe, in the orange BMW, both out of Clemson University. Maybe a little bit of Team Orders here. Maybe Herdesty is going to play a little bit of a blocker for his teammate currently sitting in the third position.
Yeah, Thomas Crump definitely it might help him out with those team orders with Jordan Johnson kind of just sitting back there. But I'm not too sure about how much team orders kind of play into this. I've been talking to quite a few of these drivers, and we see team orders play more into the game, into the cup racing. I don't think GT3 really plays a lot of team orders into this because it's a very complicated race. There's not many. Their cars are all over. They're not really bunched up together, and so team orders. I think they're a rare sight. Although we would love for them to be more common, but I think that these teams just say, hey, you guys go out and drive. I think team orders are not the right way to word it around. I think they definitely talk to each other, definitely in voice comms, kind of saying what they're doing, but I think it's more or less just for some help. Saying, hey, I'm taking turn 3 wrong, right? Where do you brake? Where do you turn? What's your kind of thoughts on this turn? And they might talk their way through. So it's definitely a whole team effort, but not in the sense of blocking, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see here, Nicholas Patinella, he's trying to chase down Ian Brown for that 5th position right now. Currently about 6/10 back as they come into turn 4. Such a tricky corner. I think it really can dictate your pace for the entire middle sector if you really think about it. A bad turn 4 can really set up a bad turn 5, and a bad turn 5 sets up a bad turn 6 almost. So really it's important to string together these corners and make sure that you don't make a mistake, because it is very easy to do. You dip a wheel onto the gravel there on the exit of the corner, you're spinning. If you don't get the power early enough, you're losing time all the way down to this turn 6 here. But a little bit further up the field, Jordan Johnson has caught the back of Thomas Crump. That blue and white Porsche machine is looking to make some spots up, skip back to where he started this race. And it looks like there's a bit of a mistake, a bit of a bobble from Thomas Crump there, and that's going to give Jordan Johnson the opportunity to make a move on the inside down this back straightaway. A great job getting it done under braking pretty much as he moves up into the 3rd position.
Jordan Johnson, like I said, just rocketing his way through the field, hunting down the next person in the line. But as he goes through this field, it's getting more and more difficult for him to make these passes. Although he did make that pass on Thomas Crump, make it look easy. And I can definitely assure you, it is not easy to pass some of these drivers, especially Thomas Crump being one of them. So Jordan Johnson definitely showing his skill there on the track. As his next target is in his sights, Nicholas Daly. He's hunting down to get that P2 position to be next to a Leaf in that feature race.
Yeah, the last time by our Muhammad Ali set a 145 flat. Nicholas Daly and Jordan Johnson both set 45.1. So it looks like Nicholas Daly and Jordan Johnson similar on pace. But our Muhammad Ali, even though he's got a massive gap out front, 7.6 seconds right now, he still wants he doesn't want to cruise. You never know what could happen. If he makes a little bit of a mistake, he could lose some of that time. Maybe the cars behind him pick up the pace a little bit more. As it looks like, really, Jordan Johnson's best lap so far was his last lap time almost.
Yeah, it definitely won't be this current lap as he went into T1 with a bit of a slide. He kind of threw in a little bit of drift there. Someone needs to tell him that this is not Formula Drift, but indeed this is GT3. But he's doing quite all right. I think he just kind of hit his brakes a little too late, maybe in the middle of the corner, and caused him to slide a little bit. But he was able to save it, and he was able to keep going. But yeah, definitely an interesting race so far as we ride along with Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College in the number 48 machine?
49.
49. Oh gosh, my eyesight.
Someone get this man an optometrist.
Oh gosh, I definitely do. Let's not talk about that.
But Daniel Hunter here, he's chasing down the two cars of Ian Brown and Nicholas Patinella in front of him. Looks like the last couple times by, he's been a little quicker maybe than the 2 cars in front by a couple tenths. So if he gets his opportunity coming out of the chicane, he might be able to make a move down the front straightaway. But he's 9 tenths, now a second behind Patinella in front. So you might have to wait another lap or 2. But up in front of them, Patinella, he looks to be on the back of Ian Brown. He might try to make a move here as Ian Brown dives to the right. He's weaving down the straightaway. He wants to break that toe as much as he can going down into turn 1. But I think Nicholas Patinella is going to be a bit too far back to make the move into turn 1. We'll see if he can set it up for turn 3, maybe turn 4. It looks like Patinella went a bit wide there actually in turn 1. Wasn't able to hit that curb on the inside. He's going to lose a ton of time to Daniel Hunter behind. I think Hunter's licking his chops now.
Yeah, I think Patinella definitely kind of increased his striking distance there. I think If he kept that together in turn one, I think he would have been able to strike that next lap on that front stretch. I definitely think that's the #1 passing zone around this track. You can make other passing zones, but it's not going to be likely, especially if the driver in front of you is of similar pace to you. That's definitely the spot to pass. So I think the striking distance between these two is quite far now, as Daniel Hunter really tries to push on him and maybe make a pass around this corner as they go into this turn. Nice rounding left-hander, but as Patnell is able to keep Daniel Hunter at bay for now.
That was a great defensive move from Patnella there. He was able to hang it around the outside and hold on to that 6th position for now. But Daniel Hunter, he's been a bit quicker the last couple laps, and I think he sees his opportunity, and he doesn't want to lose time. He wants to make sure that he can catch Ian Brown later on and maybe secure a top 5 in this race, as it looks like Patnella a bit quicker through the hairpin there as they come through the 3rd sector now. This long right-hander setting themselves up for the right, left, right of the last sector. Such a tricky sector because it feels like a lot of the corners are almost blind. And if you put a tire wrong, a wheel wrong in the chicane here, it's going to make you really slow. It looks like that's what happened to Daniel Hunter there, as he goes a little bit wide and he grinds on the curb off the exit, and that's going to lose him a ton of time down the front straightaway.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I mean, I'm just watching a bit of a replay from Alexander Hogarth, and he just one little tap around some of these corners, and you're able to send your car spinning. And so Hogarth, I believe, is our 2nd retirement from this race so far. Our first being, excuse me. Well, I was about to say our first being Jacob Cummings, but I might be wrong with that. Yeah, he's back out on the track, so I think Alexander Hogarth is actually our first retirement for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing to note in turn 4 here, just look at the different lines Daniel Hunter and Nicholas Patnella make in this corner. It looks like Patnella is really letting it go wide, and it looks like Daniel Hunter is trying to stick it tight on the inside of the corner there, and I think that's a big difference in their time. Not quite sure which one is faster, but it looks like Daniel Hunter is catching up to the back of Patnella, so I think that is pretty self-explanatory in what line could be faster through that corner. As it looks like, oh, Daniel Hunter spins! Going into turn 6, he touches the gravel on the entrance, but he keeps it off the side of Patnella, and he's able to continue. Great job avoiding any of the cars in front of him. We're going to have to get a replay of that. That was, I think, Daniel Hunter pushing a bit too hard, and he just overstepped the track there.
Yeah, I think Daniel Hunter kind of grabbed a bit of the draft, bit of a dirty air going through that turn. Let's watch the replay to see if we can confirm that. Oh, no, he touched the grass. Touchy grass toucher.
Yeah.
Tire dipping.
Daniel Hunter trying to tire dip there, but obviously grass has less friction, less grip than asphalt, so I think those rear tires were not very happy with him, as he dropped a couple spots there, down to 9th position. Now he's under the pressure of Cohen Evans. We saw him have a little bit of a spin earlier coming out of the chicane, but Daniel Hunter is probably going to be very mad at himself for that one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to throw him off for the next lap or two. I know personally, and I know a lot of drivers, that when they make that kind of mistake, or they just kind of spin out, they trust the car less. They trust themselves less in this driving, and so they pull the reins back on their driving. They drive a lot more carefully. But as some of us may know, or, as all of us may know, the more carefully you drive around these tracks and stuff, the less time you're able to get from the track, so you gain more time throughout your lap and everything. And so I fear that Cohen Evans knows this and is playing that mental game with Hunter, and he's going to pass him probably within the lap or two, unless Daniel Hunter's really able to kind of get back into that mindset real quick, trust that car again. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. But one thing to note is I think Cohen Evans, we saw him spin earlier, so he lost a few spots, but Cohen Evans last lap was a 145.74. That's his last lap, but Daniel Hunter's best lap was a 146.17. So I think Cohen Evans just has more inherent pace than Daniel Hunter in front, even without the spin and the lack of confidence. I think especially around this track, you really got to trust the car to ride the curbs, push the car to the limits really around this track to find speed. And I think maybe even before, Daniel Hunter wasn't as confident as maybe Cohen Evans is, because we really see Cohen Evans get onto the curbs. He's really pushing it to the edge, and I think this next time by, I think Daniel Hunter is going to be looking in his mirror more than his windshield.
Yeah, Cohen Evans definitely pushing that car a little quite hard. He's able to brake a lot later than Daniel Hunter, and he's able to kind of get that car into the perfect position. But again, I think Daniel is just not trusting the car, not trusting himself as much as he was before. But Cohen Evans also could still have maybe some unnoticeable damage to his engine or his drivetrain because of his incident earlier. Not too sure, but that could always be a playing factor no matter what. If you go off track or you hit another car at any point, there could be damage that you don't even know exists, and it's definitely rough.
Absolutely. As we saw into turn one, Cohen Evans gave a little bit of a look to the inside, tried to scare Daniel Hunter into maybe braking a bit later than he wanted to, but Daniel Hunter wasn't having any of it. And, he hit his marks perfectly and was able to get through turn one, still holding on to that 9th position. Close battle on track right now between Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College and Cohen Evans out of IUPUI. I think Cohen Evans is really starting to hustle the back of that St. Clair College machine, and I think he knows that he has the pace to get by him. That last time by, Daniel Hunter was running a 146.15. Cohen Evans ran a 146 flat. So a couple tenths difference between those two cars as they try to make up another spot. And Cohen Evans tries to recover from a spin earlier on.
Yeah, but this is definitely going to make it interesting because Cohen Evans and Daniel Hunter are P9 and P10. So if they stay in these types of positions for this next race, I think they will be starting, P3 and P4 for the feature race. So it'll definitely make it interesting. We do have a lower population today due to, I believe, NASCAR is today. So we have a lower population tonight for this. We have quite a few of those drivers out there, and we hope they do well tonight. But yeah, as you know, we'll have at this moment, Friedrich will start first, but I don't know, Muhammad Ali. Every lap I look back and he's just gained another second on the person ahead of him. He's basically at 10 seconds now ahead of Nicholas Daly, and that's it. And but as we see, another Ball State driver, Cale Davidson, who is P11 right now.
Yeah, we just saw Cale Davidson make a move for 11th spot after Justin Friedrich. He got a little bit wide on the hairpin on the back sector of the track, and that gifted Davidson, the position. But Justin Friedrich still holding on that 12th spot. But Tyler Stone behind him is going to have something to say as he's currently about a second back. Going back up towards Cohen Evans. Cohen Evans and Daniel Hunter are bumper to bumper right now, looking like it's rush hour traffic instead of a racetrack. That's how close they are. But Cohen Evans can't quite get to that quarter panel of Daniel Hunter. He's going to stick to 10th position for now. Still about a couple tenths back. But I think Cohen Evans is starting to really put the pressure on now.
Yeah, Cohen Evans in that specific corner, you can tell he just brakes so much later than Daniel Hunter. He's right on the bumper of him. And I think if he's able to keep this kind of same distance, when we get to that front straight and he's able to kind of get that large draft, he's going to be able to pass him.
He's going to go for the move here. He dives down the inside. A big dive bomb from Cohen Evans there, but he gets it done on braking. But looks like Daniel Hunter's going to come back. He's going to have the inside line for this next turn. Daniel Hunter not giving Cohen Evans much room, but Cohen Evans is going to have the inside. It's like Cohen Evans does a fantastic job of defending that position after the dive bomb. So Cohen Evans, fantastic move on the brakes there. He saw the opportunity and he took it with two hands as he moves up into 9th position.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough overtake from Cohen Evans, and Daniel Hunter tried to make the over-under on him. Wasn't able to make it stick, kind of ran over quite a few curves, maybe even a sausage curve there. Maybe even damaged the underfloor of his car, or the splitter of his car, but Cohen Evans was still able to make that stick as I think Daniel Hunter maybe panicked a little bit, drove a little too aggressive on that, and I think he wasn't able to take that position back, as Cohen Evans has seemed to have securely locked that in after that finish of that lap.
Absolutely, as we'll see if Cohen Evans can chase down Jonathan Webb out of UNC Charlotte in front of him. Back towards the front of the field, Jordan Johnson has continued his march towards Nicholas Daly. That last lap by, Jordan Johnson was a second faster than anyone else in the field. He ran a 144 flat, while the next closest was really Nicholas Daly, who ran a 44.9. So Jordan Johnson, he's not afraid to really put his car on the limits here, as he wants to get another position. He wants to be as close as he can to Muhammad Ali for race 2. But I think it's interesting too that this race pace out of Jordan Johnson has been absolutely blistering. He's been 10th to a second quicker every lap than Nicholas Daly. We'll see what he can do here as we start the final lap of this race one sprint, 25 minutes long, and it's passed so quickly.
Yeah, as they approach this front straight, I think Jordan Johnson's really going to be able to get that run on him. I think he's going to be able to get in that draft, place his car perfectly, and kind of get around him. But we'll definitely see. We'll see if Nicholas Daly can put his car into a good defending position as we approach this. Is Jordan Johnson going to try to take the outside? As he is, or the inside, excuse me, and nope, he's going to pull back. Really do much, drive right over that sausage curb, which I think he's been doing all night. I haven't really seen many other drivers do that, and I'm not really sure if that's if that's the key to this. Oh, as Jordan Johnson's taking to the front, as they're side by side going through that nice sweeping right-hander. Oh, as Jordan Johnson falls a little bit behind Nicholas Daly, maybe he'll strike again on next lap.
Yeah, this is the last lap of race one. I thought Jordan Johnson had it there. He had the inside of turn three, but Nicholas Daly doing a fantastic job holding that outside line and using the momentum to retake the position going into turn four. Jordan Johnson still haggling in the back of him, though, so there's still a couple corners to go, and Nicholas Daly can't give up quite yet as Muhammad Ali has an 11-second gap to these two cars right now. It looks like Jordan Johnson, maybe he had a bit of a bobble, or was it Nick Daly? It almost looked like you can't tell there who made a mistake. But Jordan Johnson's going to have a great run coming into the hairpin on the final lap of this race. He's right on the bumper of Nicholas Daly. He's going to pull to the outside. He's going to pull to the inside. He pulled the dummy on him as he goes to the inside. He's hard on the brakes, and Jordan Johnson is able to get the move done. We'll see if Nick Daly can say anything about it, but Jordan Johnson on this last lap of race one is able to get the move done for second position.
Yeah, Nicholas Daly coming out of the turn tried to do that over under, but wasn't able to get right onto that onto the throttle. I think he got onto the throttle maybe a little too early here as he slides it through that last turn, go into the chicane here, and there we go. Jordan Johnson has taken that position. I don't think Nicholas Daly is going to be able to get it back from that. But yeah, Nicholas Daly, he's been I think he's really suffering with these tires right now. I think we see him. We slid out with that main corner as you saw really earlier, but he definitely got wobbly on quite a few corners earlier than that. So I think he was either nervous or these tires are just kind of burnt up, or both. But there we go. We have our finishing positions for this race. This heat one, with our Muhammad Ali being our first position, or first place for heat one, as we congratulations to our Muhammad Ali and Jordan Johnson taking that second place on that last lap. Oh man, that was crazy.
Yeah, as we see as they come across the line there, looks like Cone Evan was able to get past Jonathan Webb for that eighth position, and Daniel Hunter, they were going side by side down the stripe, drag racing it out, and Daniel Hunter can't quite get there in the end. He finishes in the 10th position. Cale Davidson out of Ball State, we saw him make a move on Frederick earlier for that 11th spot, and Frederick finishes out in 12th, so he will be on your reverse grid pole. So we saw a pretty exciting end to race one there. What do we expect from race two now?
Oh man, this is going to be a good race. First of all, we have our two championship leaders right next to each other, our Muhammad Ali and Jordan Johnson right next to each other, along with Nicholas Daly. Nicholas Daly, not one to kind of snuff up at. I mean, he's a very, very good driver. We saw that just now earlier, as well as we saw that in the Formula C race. As we look at our Heat 1 results.
Yeah, absolutely. Our Muhammad Ali, we saw him lead from the start, and he led from start to finish. Didn't see a whole lot of him between the start and the finish, but absolutely dominant. 11.7-second gap to the second place at the end there. Jordan Johnson, he did have an end of line penalty to start race one. He recovered all the way to second, so that's a great recovery drive from him out of Kent State University. Nicholas Daly, our top finisher in the alumni class out of UT Arlington, just lost that second position at the end of the race, but he'll still claim that first position in the alumni class for race one. Thomas Crump out of Clemson will round out fourth. Ian Brown out of Mesa Community College will round out your fifth position, and Nicholas Patinella is in sixth. Oscar Long out of Pennsylvania College of Technology will be seventh with Cone Evans. We saw him battling his way through the field into eighth. Jonathan Webb out of UNC Charlotte in ninth, and Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College couldn't quite get there in the end. He'll finish 10th in race one.
Yeah, Cale Davidson starting your 11th position from Ball State University, followed up by Justin Friedrich from Minnesota State University, followed by Tyler Stone, one of our many drivers from St. Clair College in P13, and P14, Blake Elliston from Averett University.
My brother toured there when he was picking colleges, so that's how I know.
Sounds like a lovely place. I just don't know how to say it. But he is P14. P15, one of our two Clemson drivers in this top 20 or N20 here is Hunter Tedeschi, followed by Kyle Bonin, P16. What a rough place, also from Clemson University. Next, we have Jacob Cummings from Wingate University. And P17, P18, Alexander Hogarth, another driver from St. Clair College. Rounding out our last driver of the race, we have Tony Corner from Michigan Tech in P19, and P20 is our race director.
The race director is just following the field in like the safety car behind everybody else.
Yeah, he's just kind of chilling
He's
in like a Honda Civic or something.
Yeah, he's like the passenger with the binoculars watching for anybody committing, acts of penance. He doesn't want to, you know, any penalties he sees, he's going to strike down hard on them. End of line penalties, time penalties. He is the final say in that matter. But we have a little bit of a break here between race one and race two. It's been a good battle so far here in the CiL GT3 Challenge.
Yeah, as we have the Arling driver actually out on the field right now is Cale Davidson, who's kind of from Ball State, who's kind of just running around doing some laps. This is definitely a time for the drivers to kind of do whatever they want, right? They can go take a restroom break. They can go and take a few minutes to edit their setup. Maybe they didn't like exactly how their setup was in the last race, so they want to change that a little bit. Maybe they want to kind of get a snack, get some water, stretch, kind of do whatever they want in these 5 minutes of warm up. I know personally, I just take it to relax, kind of go over what had happened that last race, and kind of see what maybe I need to do a little bit differently. But kind of watching Cale Davidson, he's testing out his car. I think he might have done some setup changes real quick, and he's trying to feel out how his car is. He's going around the circuit, making some odd moves here and there, kind of getting his tires warm, seeing what the track is like with this new setup, and it's really a valuable time that I'm happy that we've put into these races.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these drivers, I think they appreciate the time between races, like you just said, where you can take a break, get some water, get a little snack, get a little PB and J in between races, just to not only refuel the body but refuel the mind, get in the mindset right. These drivers take this racing very seriously. They want to not only compete for themselves, their name. Obviously, iRacing, everybody uses their real name here, but for their schools as well. And I think some of these schools have very intense esports programs. Ball State, St. Clair College, Clemson, those three schools, they have a large participation between students and alumni. And I think, excuse me, representing well for your school is definitely a big factor in some of these drivers deciding to participate in the CiL because they want to make themselves better as racers, but they also want to represent their schools with pride.
Yeah, and these schools, they're all racing together, as we've seen in quite a few of these. We saw in the oval race last week at Dega. All these drivers, they race together. They're all in a room, or some of these drivers, at least race together. They're in a room. They're kind of sharing. They're able to talk to each other. They might debrief what's happened. And still they're able to have that team building, that team kind of exercise, and just kind of be together as a team. So it's definitely it's cool to see some of these larger schools, I'm excited to see what kind of brings with more schools, as we go along, and I hope that more of these schools kind of realize that this is something they want to do. But as we're up here ends and we head into race two, we're gridding currently for our next race.
Absolutely, as we saw in the last race. Just a reminder, they're top 12 inverted for race two. So Justin Friedrich finished race one in 12th. We'll start the race two in pole position. Cale Davidson out of Ball State will round out your front row from Ball State University. I think I said Ball State University already, but Cale Davidson, second position. Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College in third, and Jonathan Webb from UNC Charlotte in fourth. Cohen Evans out of IUPUI will start fifth with Austin Long behind him in sixth. Nicholas Patnella out of Robert Morris will be seventh, and Ian Brown out of Mesa Community College in eighth. Thomas Crump from Clemson will be ninth, and Nicholas Daly to his outside in 10th. Jordan Johnson, we saw him stream in from the back of the field in race one, so we'll see what he can do from 11th in race two. R. Muhammad Alif was dominant in race one, starting the race two in 12th. We'll see what he can do and how many positions he can make up off the start. Your 13th through 19th position rounded out by your drivers who finished in 13th through 19th in race one. We'll go through that one final time. That's going to be Tyler Stone in 13th out of St. Clair College, Blake Ellison in 14th out of Averett, Hunter Hidesti and Kyle Bonin round out a row 8 of Clemson University cars. Jacob Cummings out of uh, Wingate University in 17th, and St. Clair College's Alexander Hogarth in 18th. Tony Coronar is going to be 19th, and our race director is pacing the field in 20th position. We look at our front pack drivers now as we get ready to race in the CiL GT3 Challenge for the second time tonight. It's going to be a great race for these drivers. We got Cale Davidson and Justin Friedrich at the front of the field in the yellow and purple. That's Friedrich and Cale Davidson in the red Ball State machine on the left. Pace car pulled into the pits as the field gets ready to go green here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya again for the second time, and Justin Friedrich gets a massive jump again for the second time tonight. The lead driver makes a massive jump early on, and that's going to spread the field out a little bit as we're green here for race 2 in the CiL GT3 Challenge. Going into turn 1, we're almost 3 wide with Cohen Evans, Jonathan Webb, and Daniel Hunter behind. Cohen Evans on the inside in that brown and black car with Jonathan Webb on the outside in the UNC Charlotte car. Cohen Evans deep on the brakes. Everyone gets through the corner A-OK. No contact so far as Jonathan Webb continues to go side by side with Nicholas Patinella into turn 3.
Yeah, we had a pretty clean start so far. Pretty clean turn 1, as exactly what we'd like to see. But this next race, it's going to be difficult. Muhammad Ali and Jordan Johnson have to fight their way through the field. They've already made up 2 positions so far. Jordan Johnson's in P9, and Muhammad Ali is fighting for P10 actually at the moment. But as we have Tyler Stone crashing and going off track with Kyle Bonin already. So Kyle Bonin not having a good race so far. But we'll have to get a replay of that back. What happens there?
We got Muhammad Ali and Jordan Johnson side by side in turn 6. We've seen them come together multiple times in the CiL this season. We'll see if it happens again. They're clean through turn 6. A little bit of contact going up into turn 7 between the bumpers of DeLong and Alif, but Jordan Johnson and Alif still side by side. Looks like Muhammad Ali is going to have to hit the brakes a little bit as he has a great run, and Jordan Johnson is going to be able to pull up into what I believe to be 9th position, corrected 8th position, excuse me. So many cars here, you could throw a blanket on them. I can't tell who's in what position.
Yeah, there's quite a few cars as we see one come back onto the track, Miki. Not the best point there. I think the stewards might have something to say about that, or another driver at least who's gonna complain about that rejoin. I don't think they should have kind of made that decision, especially as those cars are coming around. But Muhammad Ali, yes, sitting in P8 as Nicholas Daly sits in P10. But Jordan Johnson, P7, still holding out in front. But Nicholas Daly, Jordan Johnson, Muhammad Ali, they're going to try to shoot their way through the field. But yeah, we saw Muhammad Ali kind of have to slow down a little bit, and that's what kind of sucks about some of this traffic and starting that far back, and makes it a little bit of a challenge for these pole position drivers. Is because they have to fight their way through the pack, and people are going to be a little slower, and so it does make a bit of an interesting race because you're not exactly sure what that car in front of you is going to do. So you have to kind of do a bit of prediction, hope they keep their line, and see if you can make it around the person you're fighting with.
Yeah, as we see Nick Daly got past Austin DeLong into turn 1 there. It looks like that's Ian Brown trying to make a move on DeLong as well into turn 4. Side by side out of the corner. They're going to go side by side into turn 5 now. That's DeLong on the inside in the blue and the light blue car. Ian Brown on the outside in the dark blue and red car. Looks like the Ferrari's going to get it done out of turn 5. Ian Brown moves himself into 10th position. Austin DeLong is not having a good race so far, but up at the front of the field right now, Daniel Hunter and Justin Friedrich are closing in on each other right now. Cale Davidson, our pole position winner for race 2 of the evening, out to a 1.5 second lead at the moment, but Daniel Hunter and Cohen Evans chasing down Friedrich for second.
Yeah, as we see, those two top 5 drivers. I mean, we have Cale Davidson, Justin Friedrich, Daniel Hunter, Cohen Evans, Jonathan Webb, Thomas Crump. Are going into P6 now, and then followed up is Jordan Johnson. But yeah, these drivers are they're able to hold off a lot of their counterpart drivers. And what makes it really interesting is because all of these drivers start to kind of bunch up as those faster drivers who might have finished first, like Muhammad Ali, Nicholas Daly, Jordan Johnson, all kind of get close together. It's interesting because the faster drivers start to catch up to those slower drivers, and you end up with this big conglomerate a little bit later. As we see up ahead, I mean, it's not an instant, instant just kind of continuation of race 1. We're able to have race 2, which is a completely different race. Lots of fights that we might not have seen normally before because of where they've started. So it makes a lot of great racing, and I'm happy we have this. because we have racers like Cohen Evans. So, Alif and Daly and Jordan Johnson are all going to have to fight past Cohen Evans. And as we know, Cohen Evans is another force to be reckoned with in this league.
Absolutely. As we see Jordan Johnson and R. Muhammad Alif are able to get past Thomas Crump there. Jordan Johnson was able to do it in turn 1, but Alif had to wait till turn 4. So I think Jordan Johnson pulled out a little bit of a gap there between his championship rival Alif behind. And it looks like Jordan Johnson's going to be looking to gain another spot here momentarily on Jonathan Webb at a UNC Charlotte. Up ahead of them, though, looks like Justin Friedrich still defending from Daniel Hunter out of St. Clair College right now as they come down the back stretch right now. Friedrich a little bit wide on the backstretch, but Daniel Hunter is going to have a solid run here. We're going to see what he can do. Cohen Evans has fallen off the back of Daniel Hunter just a little bit now, but looks like Friedrich is a little deep into the hairpin. He's going to go wide out of the hairpin, and that's going to allow Daniel Hunter to get through. Can Cohen Evans also follow? No, he can't. Cohen Evans is going to have to just tuck in behind Friedrich as Daniel Hunter moves himself up into second position right now. But behind them, Jordan Johnson and R. Muhammad Alif are picking their way through this pack right now.
Yeah, I'm sure Daniel Hunters was super happy about that, and Cohen Evans just wished he was maybe a little bit closer, just to kind of get a little bit of that taste of what it was, passing Friedrich and getting to that finishing position of third. But as we still have 20 minutes to go. There's a lot can happen in this race. We've already had 2 retirements of Alexander Hogarth from St. Clair College, and Jacob Cummings again. He's retired again. And it's not that the mechanics couldn't fix his car. The mechanics could fix his car, but he was involved in another wreck of someone spinning in front of him, and he was unable to get out of the way.
Yeah, as they come through turn 3 now, looks like Jonathan Webb is defending hard from Jordan Johnson as they head up in turn 4 underneath the bridge. Jordan Johnson's going to send a move down the inside to get it done. He does so into the corner. It looks like Jonathan Webb is going to defend from R. Muhammad Alif now into turn 5, and Alif sends it up the inside there. That's going to be a risky move, really deep on the brakes, but he gets it done. Amazing car control from that 12 machine out of Ball State University as he's able to stick to the rear of Jordan Johnson corner after corner and just follow him through for some of these overtakes. As at the front of the field, Daniel Hunter has caught Cale Davidson out of Ball State University. That 49 machine from St. Clair College with some serious speed right now coming down the back stretch. We saw last lap Justin Friedrich made a mistake into the hairpin under pressure. Speaking of Friedrich, he's under pressure from Cohen Evans now going into the hairpin.
Yeah, all of these drivers making serious moves right there with Cohen Evans kind of getting a little close to Jordan Johnson and Daniel Hunter there. But Justin Friedrich kind of staying out of the way, staying super far out of the way. You have to trust a lot of these drivers going around some of these corners. As we saw Alif kind of make that dive on the inside, you really have to trust that other driver to not turn in on you a little too much if you're making that late of a move. They've kind of already had this where they're going in their minds, so they have to make that. Ooh, as Cale Davidson spins in the chicane. And I think Jordan Johnson has a bit of contact with Justin Friedrich.
Oh, he has contact with Jonathan Webb coming into the last corner of the track. That sends him into the gravel, but he does a fantastic job of keeping it together. He's still in this race, but he's lost a ton of spots to R. Muhammad Alif, who up ahead is going to make a move on Justin Friedrich into turn 1 now. Late on the brakes, that Mercedes AMG is able to get the move done into turn 1, but he's got a massive gap to his championship rival behind him now. Just chaos coming out of the last corner into the chicane, really, where there is a spun Cale Davidson as Daniel Hunter inherits the lead as a result.
Yeah, and so we've had quite a few, and I'm sure Race Control is going to note that in a minute, as they've already noted an incident involving the 33 car and the 17 car, and that's actually under investigation, as well as Tyler Stone was black flagged for causing a collision. We already see that, and there it is. The Race Control has noted and saying that the 10 car and the 91 car incident between those two drivers we just saw is now under investigation from Race Control as well. We haven't really seen much of anything other than the Tyler Stone incident there from Race Control, kind of a result of it, but I'm sure they're noting it, and there will be after race penalties for some of these.
Yeah, absolutely. As we go into the hairpin, Cohen Evans sees the bumper of Daniel Hunter again, just as he saw in race 1. We'll see if he can send a dive bomb onto Daniel Hunter, but behind him is the quick 12 machine of R. Muhammad Alif out of Ball State University. He's looking to make his way up into first position again tonight after starting in the 12th position for race 1. But Cone Evans, I think he's going to maybe think about a move in the chicane there. Super late on the brakes, but thinks better of it as he wants to set himself up for a good exit out of the last corner of this track onto the front straightaway. But R. Muhammad Alif is going to have a better exit here as he gets all the track. He's going to use all this straightaway and all this draft to his advantage. He's going to pull it to the inside of Cone Evans and see if he can get that second position on the braking into turn 1. A couple positions behind him, Jordan Johnson's trying to make up spots right now, but R. Muhammad Alif is able to get the move done on the inside under braking, and he's moving up into second position now.
Yeah, definitely a feeling for Jordan Johnson there. Not the best race that he's had so far here at Catalunya, but trying to make the best of it right now. I mean, he's in P7 where he was a little bit ago. He's definitely gonna have to fight his way through Nicholas Daly and Cohen Evans to then get up to Alif, and I guess he's just kind of hoping that Daniel Hunter's able to hold up Alif a bit, and so he can kind of do some damage repair and catch his way up. As Cohen Evans maybe has a look to the inside, not too much on Alif, but as they continue down, Alif really, I think he's going to make a lunge in the next few corners on Daniel Hunter as he's getting closer and closer through some of these corners, as Daniel Hunter rides right over those sausage curbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be R. Muhammad Alif's first real opportunity to send a move for the lead here in race 2 on Daniel Hunter. Looks like Hunter's going to defend to the inside hard. He wants to hold on to this lead, even though R. Muhammad Alif has got wicked speed right now. Around the outside, Alif is going to hang it around. It looks like he can't quite get it done as they come out of the hairpin, and I think he's going to have to concede that he can't get that position quite yet as Daniel Hunter continues to defend from the lead from R. Muhammad Alif. Cone Evans maybe has a bit of speed now, but we see further back through the field, looks like Jordan Johnson is almost to the back of Jonathan Webb. Jonathan Webb sent Johnson to the gravel earlier on. We'll see what's happening there. It looks like they're still battling it out right now, as we want to take a look at the lead right now. About 2/10 between your leader Daniel Hunter and R. Muhammad Alif, but Jordan Johnson here making a move on the guy who sent him off the track earlier.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's trying to make that move real quick as R. Muhammad Alif tries to goes around the outside. I think that Daniel Hunter just kind of said, "Hey, man, I know you're faster than me." That looked like he seceded that position. I don't think that was too much harder to fight for either of them. But yeah, I think Daniel Hunter was just like, "Hey, I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you race as well. Like, you just have the position. I'm happy with P2. I don't want to get into an incident with you. I'd rather just finish this race." Not saying that Alif causes incidents. I'm just saying that he'd rather not fight to the point of that an incident may occur. So he's just gonna take that P2 and maybe have a fight a bit with Daniel Cohen Evans here.
Yeah, it looks like Jonathan Webb here really pushing Thomas Crump to his limits right now. These two BMW machines, I think Jonathan Webb defending pretty much to the absolute limit to Thomas Crump. He doesn't want to lose another spot here and drop down to the 8th position, excuse me. It looks like Jordan Johnson is sizing up a move on Justin Friedrich now. Jordan Johnson in that number 10 blue and white Porsche. He's going to go to the outside of Friedrich in that yellow and purple, also another Porsche, as it looks like Friedrich almost got into the side of Jordan Johnson, and Jordan Johnson is trying to stick it around the outside, and he gets it done, moves up into 5th position, but he's losing time to R. Muhammad Alif, who's in the lead right now.
Yeah, personally, I mean, I think they're too close of a caliber of drivers that I don't think Jordan Johnson will be able to catch Alif. I think they're very similar in pace, and so I think Jordan Johnson is going to fight. He'll be able to fight through this, but he still has to fight through Nicholas Daly, Cohen Evans, and Daniel Hunter to be able to even get to P2 to fight Alif. And by then, Alif is going to be 8 seconds ahead of everyone else, and so I think Jordan Johnson's best finishing position currently is going to be P2 this race, unless Alif bottles it somewhere throughout the race. But yeah, unfortunate for Jordan Johnson. He's definitely had a rough time here in Spain.
Yeah, I just think it's super unfortunate. It looks like Cohen Evans gets really loose in turn 3, almost loses it, but does a great job of collecting it. But he's going to lose a spot to Nicholas Daly there into turn 4. Daly with the inside line. I'm going to say thank you very much. But yeah, just as you were saying, I think Jordan Johnson just got the short end of the stick. I think he got into some contact that I think maybe, I think Jordan Johnson's thinking, I'm faster than you, why would you fight me that hard and put me in the gravel? That wasn't necessary. But, I mean, these guys are trying to fight for every point in every position because, these guys are all racing and they don't want to give up spots easily, right? You know, sometimes you can think, oh, it's, you know, I'm fast if I let them by, but sometimes you think you can really hold on to that position, especially if you're in a big gaggle of cars that's held up by somebody spinning in front of you. As Jordan Johnson goes a bit wide out of turn 6, I believe. That might be turn 7, but not quite close enough to Cone Evans to make a move. But these 4 cars right now are all under a blanket as our Muhammad Ali extended the advantage out front to 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, this is a very, you know, everyone's kind of people who may not know racing or as much racing or may not have raced themselves may not realize that although this is, you know, this is skill, you have to know the track, you have to know what to do and all that. This is also a mental game. You're playing chess sometimes at, you know, 150 miles an hour with some of these other drivers, and if you make a wrong move, you can end up, you know, upside down next to the pit wall. You know, it's a very complicated game, or, you know, game that you're playing here when you're racing and stuff. It's not just kind of lowing the track and everything. You're trying to trick your opponent into moves that they may not want to do, or, you know, you're trying to make them over defend or something like that. So it's a mental game. But off topic note, the incident between the 91 and the 16 of I believe that is Thomas Crump and Jonathan Webb have been noted by race control.
I think that's what we were watching earlier, coming into this corner right here as we watched Daly try to make a move for second. Where Jonathan Webb, it looks like Jordan Johnson really dives down the inside there into turn 5. He's going to try to overtake Cone Evans and does it. That's a pretty opportunistic move. Late on the brakes, Jordan Johnson up into 4th position. But as I was saying about that incident between Webb and Crump, I think Webb was defending maybe a bit too aggressively there. Maybe just noted for future reference as the absolute limit you can defend without stepping over the line. As Jordan Johnson gets a really good run out of the turn there. He might be able to make a move, as it looks like Nicholas Daly and Daniel Hunter are going side by side into the hairpin. Daniel Hunter's been defending for all his life, but Nick Daly can't quite get there. Daly goes wide, and Jordan Johnson's going to get him. Jordan Johnson with a free position there almost, as Daniel Hunter, his defensive efforts have resulted in Daly losing another spot, or losing a spot, not another spot, I should say.
Yeah, it's Jordan Johnson here approaches Daniel Hunter. And I think he's really going to try to get past him. And one thing that I've noticed with Jordan Johnson within the past few races, and especially today, he's done an exceptional job with, is he's able to follow these drivers, you know, behind them through a corner so close. I mean, literally like a foot or two. He's able to kind of sit behind their tail with his nose just kind of right up there. And he's able to keep that, and he's able to hold that still, and he's able to kind of trust himself, trust the car in front of him, trust everything, and that, you know, they're not going to have a mid-turn break or something like that. And I think this is kind of one of the things that we see with the skill of these drivers, is they're able to just kind of use these cars to their maximum advantage. As we see him kind of go off track a little bit there, as well as Cone Evans. Maybe there's kind of a gust of wind there in that turn, kind of sending them a little wide, but. Jordan Johnson's really trying to get around Daniel Hunter, as our Muhammad Ali already has a 6-second gap between these drivers.
Yeah, Jordan Johnson doing everything he can, knowing he's got the pace to, you know, if he really puts the pedal to the metal, he might catch up to a leaf. But there's a lap car in front of them as Jordan Johnson looks outside. He's not going to look inside and in this next corner, but he's going to set himself up. Oh, looks like Daniel Hunter spins in the corner, and Nicholas Daly involved. Just gets out of the way. Cone Evans, I think, is barely able to avoid it, but Daniel Hunter spins. Jordan Johnson almost spins. Holy crap. Excuse my language there. That was exciting stuff. I thought he was almost going to spin out of that corner, but Jordan Johnson is able to keep it together. Now his task is a monumental one, though. He's going to chase down our Muhammad Ali. Maybe 5 laps left remaining in this race, and he's 5 seconds behind right now.
Yeah, someone's sitting somewhere with like a giant air cannon, just kind of shooting them at these drivers right now, just causing them to spin, go wide off some of these turns, or something. I don't know. Maybe that evil guy from Cars, Cars 2, Cars 3, I forget which one it was.
Cars 2, it's the best Cars movie, and you can't debate me on that.
I'll debate you on that. Cars 1 is definitely better.
Anyways, we look here with Daniel Hunter trying to recover from a little spin. It looks like that's Hunter Hidesti in front of him. Up ahead of them a little bit, Thomas Crump and Justin Friedrich are going side by side down towards turn 1. Crump on the inside, Friedrich on the outside. Crump's going to have that preferred line in that purple BMW as they break into turn 1, and Crump's going to get the move done using as much as a curb as he can, but Friedrich using even more curb, and Crump is still able to hold on to that position. He'll be 5th, Justin Friedrich down to 6th right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good battle between these two drivers. I think they're definitely evenly matched. Though Thomas Crump maybe a little bit faster. Justin Friedrich, kind of a newer driver around the CIL parts here. I think this is his first season in CIL, if I'm not mistaken. And so I can't speak on his racecraft too much or his skill, but definitely he's been showing himself pretty aggressively this season, especially this race. So I think he's going to put up a fight with him, in this race.
Yeah, Friedrich a little get in the back end, out a little bit into that quick right-hander, but looks like Jordan Johnson's closed the gap a couple of tenths to Muhammad Alif at the front of the field. We'll see what their lap times are when they cross the stripe, but right now it's Muhammad Alif leading Jordan Johnson and Nicholas Daly rounding out your podium finishers. Cohen Evans is able to avoid a spin of the cars in front of him in fourth, and Thomas Crump currently sitting in fifth. One thing that I didn't think was going to result from that little incident we saw with Daniel Hunter spinning is Nicholas Daly's still going. We can see a little bit of damage on his rear wing there. I think he got, and the front splitter as well, that front right a little damaged. He got into the front of Daniel Hunter as he spun, but it must not be bad enough for him to have to pit. He's still going on strong here.
Yeah, that's going to give him maybe some top end speed, slowness there around this front straight, but I don't think it's going to give him too much. Maybe a little downforce around the corners. He's going to notice a little bit of a difference, but nothing really kind of race ending. He's going to have to maybe try a little bit harder to get around these turns, get through that, maybe defend a little harder. But yeah, that seemed like a harder hit than it was. So I'm glad to see him still going. But Daniel Hunter, as we see Jordan Johnson go wide on that same corner. I really think the wind here in Spain has kind of picked up and kind of sending these drivers out wide. So no, not too sure if they're picking up some slowdown penalties or what around there due to that. But we'll have to see as he kind of goes around one of his favorite passing points, it seems. But I wasn't expecting that to be a good passing point. But it definitely is for some of these drivers, especially our two leaders, Leaf and Jordan Johnson, love to pass around there. But yeah, he's slowly trying. I think he's slowly closing this gap between Alif. You can see him just at the end when we kind of go around these corners. We can see it. I can see it in his cockpit cam. But we only have less than 5 minutes to go, and I don't think it's going to be enough time for Jordan Johnson to catch Alif unless Alif kind of bottles it in a corner or something.
Yeah, that last lap by Jordan Johnson was 0.3 of a second quicker than Muhammad Alif, and it looks like Kyle Bonin here, as we ride on board with, is looking to make a move on Jonathan Webb. I think Webb's had a bit of a scrappy race tonight as he goes wide there, and he kills a cone, and Kyle Bonin's going to be looking to the inside here into the hairpin, but can't quite get there, late on the brakes, but unable to make a position up on Jonathan Webb. He's going to go a bit deep, though, and he's going to be able to stick a nose in there, but Kyle Bonin can't quite hang around, and he's going to continue to hold on to that 12th position. As he gets in the back of Jonathan Webb, he's going to spin going into the third sector, but he's able to collect it. He's on, I think that's a bit of turf there. I don't think that's real grass. He's going way too fast for that. But Kyle Bonin, unfortunate, gets in the back of Webb, but Webb keeps on going.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, Kyle Bonin there. But as he got what he deserved. He punted a cone. He got what he deserves. I'm just kidding. As we see again, Jordan Johnson again, same corner. I just saw him kind of slide out wide, and I really don't know what's going on with that corner, but everyone's having issues going around there. But as we still watch Cohen Evans in that exceptional PUI livery there, trying to hunt down Nicholas Daly and see if he can make a pass on him, just because Nicholas Daly has a little bit of damage, does negate his speed a little bit. But as we go around that corner there, as we switch to Justin Friedrich, excuse me.
Yeah, it looks like Friedrich was a bit wide in the turn 4, and I think that gave a position to Ian Brown. I think Ian Brown was hunting down the Minnesota State machine, and I think that forced Friedrich into a mistake, and I think he gave up that position. But one thing to note is that last lap by Jordan Johnson, 0.5 of a second quicker than Muhammad Alif. I think Jordan Johnson has the pace in that car, but I don't think he has the time to catch up. Because I think Jordan Johnson putting in absolute stunning laps right now. He's on a tear, 0.5 quicker than Muhammad Alif, and over a second and a half quicker than, or just maybe a second, a couple tenths quicker than anyone else in the field outside of Muhammad Alif. So if it was any other driver in the lead right now other than Alif, I think Jordan Johnson could have got him. But I think we have 2 laps to go here as they cross the stripe, 23 minutes into this race. So I think that is going to be 2 more laps right now as Jordan Johnson crosses the line. Another lap, he's 3/10 quicker than Alif that time by, but I think that he's just running out of time.
Yeah, I mean he's closing that gap pretty significantly. I mean, yeah, as you said, he's just about 3.5 seconds there. I think if he had the infamous 5 more minutes or 5 more laps, I think he would have been able to. He's going to be able to catch him, but I don't think he's going to be able to through the end of this race. So I think Jordan Johnson. Honestly, I think we have this kind of finishing order, at least for P1 and P2, as he's still losing a bit of tire there, but yeah, he keeps sliding around. I'm not too sure. I think he's fried his tires trying to go through that earlier section of drivers. But I think we're still having a good fight between P3, P4, P5. I think that's going to be a great fight between three of these drivers.
Yeah, and as you say that, we did see Cone Evans make the move on Nicholas Daly into turn one for that last podium position. It is for the podium, but Nicholas Daly still in the lead of the alumni class right now. He's a ways ahead of Hunter Hidesti, who's currently sitting in eighth. Nicholas Daly sitting in fourth right now, your top two alumni drivers. Looks like Hidesti is going to try to make another move here on Justin Friedrich. Friedrich is about 6/10, 7/10 up the road from Hidesti right now, as he's got a lap and a half left in this race to maybe make up another position.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's going to be possible. I mean, as he gets pretty close, Hunter Destiny really trying to hunt down Justin here. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but he's definitely right on the back of his bumper. He's pressuring him into maybe making a mistake, and that's where the what I was talking about earlier with that mental game is. You really try to pressure some of these drivers. You get right on their bumper and you make them nervous, and then they're not thinking about the race. They're thinking about you, and once they start thinking about you, they make a mistake. Just as I said. So as Justin kind of falls to the wayside, is Hunter Desti forced him into a wide turn. Hunter Desti then takes now P7.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say that, they cross the stripe for the final time tonight. This is the last lap of the race two of the evening in the CiL GT3 Challenge. At the front of the field right now, you have Muhammad Alif has been absolutely dominant. That last time by, he set the fastest lap of the race. I think he responded to Jordan Johnson's quick lap by setting one of his own, a 144.35. Not the fastest outright lap because of off tracks and all that, but fastest official lap in the race tonight is a 144.35 at the moment. Jordan Johnson 4 seconds behind right now, and I don't think he's going to have the speed to catch up with only half a lap to go. Further back to the field, Daniel Hunter and Justin Friedrich are nose to tail at the moment. Just Daniel Hunter wants to recover after a spin earlier, really hurt his chances at a podium tonight. As they come through the middle sector for the final time at the front of the field, it looks like it's Muhammad Alif has got this one in the bag, but Nicholas Daly, sitting in fourth spot, wants to sniff at that podium. Nicholas Daly, he's going to try to make a spot up as they go down into the hairpin late on the brakes, but he can't quite get there. That's going to really make it hard for him to make a pass for the lead. But at the front of the field right now, Muhammad Alif is coming out of the final corner now in that Ball State Mercedes machine. He's going to win race one and race two of the evening. Muhammad Alif was an absolutely dominating performance, and he sets a fastest lap of the race again on the final lap. Jordan Johnson follows in behind. He can't quite get there, but Nicholas Daly, he wants to try to drag race Cone Evans to the line now for that last podium spot, and he can't quite get there. Cone Evans is going to round out your podium in third spot. Nicholas Daly a few tenths behind them right now. So that's going to round out your top five with Thomas Crump crossing the line now. Ian Brown rounds out your sixth position, and Hunter Hidesti in second place for the alumni class in seventh. Daniel Hunter's coming across the line now after a spin earlier in the race in eighth, and Justin Friedrich will be ninth, and Austin DeLong rounds out your top 10.
What an exceptional race we've just had. I mean, it was a super great race. I'm kind of upset that we didn't get to see more battling between Jordan Johnson. We got to see a little bit in the beginning of that second race there. But I think we had a pretty good race for what we had today. Now I know it's not a favorite of most of these drivers here. But congratulations to Muhammad Alif there for his race 2 win, as well as Jordan Johnson and Cohen Evans for their second and third place finish, as well as Nicholas Daly going to be our first alumni finisher. So congratulations to him as well. We'll be able to talk to them a little bit later in an interview.
Absolutely, as we see Muhammad Ali pull off to the side here at the hairpin in the middle sector here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Maybe he's going to burn it down for us, or is he just going to, he's waving to the fans. That red Ball State machine rolls into victory lane again on the top step of the podium. great job from Muhammad Khalif is there. He burns it down, a well-earned burnout as he dominates race one and he flies to the front of the field in race two. You can't ask for much more than that in a race night. I think absolutely perfect performance, not a foot wrong, as we saw a lot of other drivers making mistakes. We saw spins, we saw contact between drivers that hurt their chances, but I think our Muhammad Khalif, he rose above it all and he really finished this race on the top step of the podium and he earned it.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see him to have a good race. He had a rough Laguna Seca race, and I believe he had a rough race before that as well. So glad to see him. Alif have a good race. Although I mean I'm saying that he's still winning the championship at the moment, so it's not like he's hurting for points or anything. But definitely happy to see a cleaner race tonight. I wouldn't say this is the cleanest race we've seen out of all of our races here, but definitely a cleaner of the races we've had tonight. And what a great race we had here from Barcelona. And as they say, Catalonia is the home, is our home. So this is a place that's a lot of these drivers, they don't race here often, but it's definitely a good one to come back to every once in a while.
Absolutely. And let's go ahead and get some of our podium finishers into the broadcast booth for this evening. It's going to be joining us in the booth first this evening. It's going to be Cohen Evans out of IUPUI. Cohen's apologies. Cohen, you ran a fantastic race tonight in race one and race two. We saw you make a lot of moves, and I think we saw you be patient for a lot of the second race as well. Go ahead. What were you thinking during that second race, and were you worried about making up spots, or did you know the race was going to come to you?
That whole second race, I was just trying to be patient. I knew faster guys were behind me, so I was kind of just waiting for them to come by and pass me and hopefully give me a hole that they made past the next guy who I can't remember. But I was just trying to be patient and wait for a hole, and eventually came when he spun.
Yeah, and that's definitely a rough race there. I mean, coming into this race, you had. I mean, I will say you had a lot of battles throughout this race. What were? This is not a kind of common track we come to. What were the difficulties around this track, and maybe with some of these, this race tonight versus maybe some of these other races you've had?
Well, I really struggled in that last sector. I could not figure it out the entire race, and people were just gapping me the entire time. But overall, it was a fairly good race outside of that one sector.
Hmm.
Well, Cohen, we saw you on a great race tonight, and congratulations on the podium finish in race two. Before we send you on your way, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, I'll just shout out my mom and dad. I haven't said hi to them in a while on here because I haven't been doing so great, but I know they're watching.
Well, Cohen, congratulations once again on the third place finish. You ran a great race, and we hope you have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
That was Cohen Evans out of IUPUI, representing the student class, rounding out your third place finisher, your last podium finisher for the evening. Joining us second in the booth is going to be Jordan Johnson out of Kent State University. Jordan, we saw you get into a couple of incidents in the races tonight, and I think definitely in race two it hurt you the most. Go ahead, walk us through what happened that caused you to get into the gravel there out of that last corner and how that affected your race for the evening.
Yeah, so I was fighting, I think it was Cohen coming into the chicane. I gave him a little bit of a move just to disrupt his line. I was really just trying to pull him away from traffic. Uh, and it worked out fairly well. I just didn't back out early enough. He cut me off and I lost some momentum. It also didn't help. We had a car spinning up front, which kind of made it even worse. But after that loss of momentum, I got a call for a car on my right, and I left car and a quarter, and whoever was there just drove straight into the side of me, and there was nothing I can do. Once you get rear contact in this Porsche, it's going to go around. I mean, the fact that I didn't spin it completely around is luck in its own, but it is what it is. In that case, not much I can do.
Yeah, that was definitely so. I would say you had a bit of an unfortunate race. So today here at Catalunya, But other than that, I mean, actually, you had some great recoveries. I mean, you were able to race your way back up to P2 both races, and I mean that was an exceptional job. I thoroughly enjoyed just kind of seeing you literally weave your way through the traffic, kind of make those great moves on some other people. And you know, I understand that this is, you know, you're an exceptional driver, but what kind of what do you do in terms of setups? What do you kind of how long do you practice with them, and what is that like in terms of trying to create that car that fits you perfectly?
Um, well, for these, to be completely honest, I just grab a setup off of ERS and just kind of run. I'll do the math. I'll hand calculate the fuel that I need for the race, but otherwise, for the most part, it's kind of just jump in and go. For most of these races, I kind of just arrive and drive. So my practice is the practice session beforehand. So that hour is quite nice for me because I'm able to dial in the car, and I hear it felt really good because I was able to kind of put in the time that really made it felt like I was 3 4 tenths faster than about everyone else on circuit. Uh, so not a crazy amount of prep. I'm used to my other events. I'll put in 50 hours on just a car track combo. So yeah, I have plenty of experience driving, and I feel I can get up to speed fairly well. So I'm not putting crazy hours, crazy secrets or anything coming in. But I just coming. I'm just trying to enjoy myself at the end of the day. At least today, it seemed like I had some good fun, even though I could have had a win in the second. Felt like I would have deserved it more than anything, but still racing. Got to get there, and unfortunately, I did not.
Yeah, and I mean that actually shows a bit of a testament to your, you know, your driving skill and your ability to adapt to some of these cars. And you know, you're able to just kind of pick up a setup off of VRS and just kind of go with it. So it definitely shows your ability to kind of adapt and you know, just drive with what you're given, and it's pretty exceptional. As well as, I mean, I'm sure the VRS setups are pretty good, but yeah, congratulations again on that second place finish in both of these races. Do you have anyone to kind of shout out or give thanks to?
Yeah, just my team, Pearson Esports, as usual, and of course all our sponsors and partners, uh, SimLab, SimCube, OBP Esports, Knight Rider Designs, 3M. Thank you for all the support from every single person that comes out to support us for all of our events, and my team just for helping progress as a driver. I couldn't thank them enough for the opportunity they've given me, and hope to have a long, prosperous.
Well, nice, and you know, we're happy to have you here, and we're glad you're racing. So, thank you for coming on in, and we'd love to see you next race.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that was Jordan Johnson, our P2 finisher, the number 10 car. As we come in here with our number one finisher, our Muhammad Alif, who is P1 finisher in both of these races here tonight. Alif, do you copy?
I can hear you.
Hey, Alif,
Well,
how are you? Oops, sorry, you can
uh,
go.
I was going to say, at least congratulations on an absolutely dominating performance tonight. We saw you run away with it in race one, and we saw you cut your way through the field in race two. Just expertly done. Race one, I think we saw you really lead the field from start to finish. In race one, were you worried about getting complacent at all, knowing, you know, you had Jordan Johnson coming through the field and just mentally being up front without much of a challenge the entire race? Is that something you have to think about during the race?
Of course, I'd say, even though the gap was like 10 seconds, I was still watching what the others were doing, especially Jordan Johnson. You know, his pace in the Porsche was, I'd say, really, really good. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just trying to hit my apexes, uh, trying not to put the car in any uncomfortable positions, I'd say. And yeah, just bringing it home for race one.
Yeah, I mean, you had some exceptional driving today, and you know, I know you are from your hometown is Singapore. Are you there currently? Because I know you go to Ball State, but do you race from Singapore, or are you currently at Ball State?
Oh, I'm currently at Ball State. There, we've got like two rigs here. My teammate Kill is just racing beside me, so yeah, I'm in campus.
Okay, so what's your I was gonna ask you know, how different it is in the morning, but because I know right there they're 12 hours ahead of at least me, and it's you know, 10 in the morning. But kind of shifting to another question, then what is your kind of routine at night? Like, how do you get ready for a race, or maybe what are things you're kind of you do to you know, prepare other than practicing?
I'd say not practice too hard just before the race. I think that's something that I like to do. Uh, just don't burn myself out. I think that's the key for me. But yeah, I mean, I've got a really nice routine in place, and I probably wouldn't want to give it away to the others. Yeah.
Your trade secrets. I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming in, and congratulations on that P1 finish. Do you have anyone to shout out or give thanks to?
Oh, definitely, yeah. My esports director, Dan Marino, for managing us all. Ball State University for giving me this opportunity. The RLL team also for giving me this amazing chance. And all my friends who are watching, hi guys, and my family. And yeah, can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks again for our race 5 of our 7 race season. So thank you for coming in, and congratulations on that P1 finish for both races tonight.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Matthew.
Yep. And that was our Muhammad Alif from Ball State University in our P1 spot.
Yeah, we got one more person I think we want to get up in the booth tonight. He didn't finish on the podium, but he did finish first in class. That's going to be Nicholas Daly out of the University of Texas at Arlington. Congratulations on the first place finish in the alumni class, Nick. I think we saw you get through a lot of battles there, and I think we saw you have a little bit of contact with a spinning, I believe it was Daniel Hunter in the end or the towards the end of race 2. How much did that affect your car? 'Cause I think we saw you lose a spot to Cohen Evans at the end of the race there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer. I tried to avoid, but kind of just understeered straight into him. And then, yeah, I think I had a bunch of aero damage. Suspension felt fine though, so luckily, I'm so glad I didn't get a meatball flag, because then I would have had to pit and then lose a lot of positions. But yeah, oh well, it went went decently well overall, I guess, getting that win.
Yeah, and that I mean, you had some pretty exceptional racing tonight. I mean, the kind of the skill that you showed off tonight was really good, and it was an interesting race, definitely tonight. And I'm glad you were there. But I do have a question. What is your I asked a couple of other drivers, but what is your kind of way to get ready for these races? And I know that a lot of people they practice, they do all these things, but is there anything else that you as a driver that you do to get ready for these races in terms of maybe prep in the morning or prep right before the race or something like that?
No, nothing really special. I usually try to get at least 30 minutes of practice before the race. So just joining up in the practice session. After 30 minutes, I can usually get up to pace, and then it's just a matter of keeping consistent laps. We saw my first race, I had a spin going into the one of the hairpins, so that was a little bit sad. But yeah, luckily didn't lose any alumni positions. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on in and talking to us, and congratulations on your P4 finish as well as your P1 finish in the alumni class there. Do you have anyone to kind of give thanks or give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I want to shout out my team, UTA Racing, and you guys, the CIL, for putting on a great league and a great broadcast. Thank you.
We appreciate that, and we'd love to see you guys here racing. And I'm super excited to see you race in 2 weeks from now at the next GT3 race. So thank you again for coming in, and congratulations again on your P1 finish in the alumni class and your P4 finish overall. So have a nice day, Nick.
Yep, thanks. You too.
And that was Nicholas Daly, our P4 finisher overall and our P1 finisher from our alumni class. Matthew, what is we've talked to these drivers, we've seen what they did, we watched this entire race. What are your end all be all thoughts for this race we just saw?
Well, Christian, I think it was a very exciting race, and I think especially in race 2, I think race 1 is almost more about your just overall pace and if you got the racecraft to stay up front. And I think race 2 is about your racecraft. Do you have what it takes to overtake, even if you've got the raw speed? Speed doesn't mean that you can race, right? If you practice enough, you can set good qualifying times, but in order to get good positions and good points in the race, you need to overtake. And I think race 2 really showed that. Art Muhammad Ali, Jordan Johnson, and guys like Cone Evans as well, Nick Daly, guys who are fast, they also can race. So I think it really showed just the level of skill in this league and how quick some of these guys can be with, on their own and as well as with other cars on track.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw a great example of that is just Jordan Johnson, how he was able to kind of get knocked down in the beginning of the race and just make his way back through the race, back through the field, pretty exceptionally fast. So it really does show the caliber of drivers the caliber that some of these drivers are, and how much they practice and how much time they put in. In the past few races, we've asked them kind of what their other type of ritual is, how much they practice, and some of these drivers are putting 20, 30 hours in of practice in some of these races, and it really does show that they're putting in these hundreds and hundreds of laps. And this race was absolutely phenomenal. I know we had a bit of a lighter what do you call it, population tonight in the terms of our racing. But I don't think that subtracted for the battles at all. I think it was a great race tonight, and I'm excited to see what these next 3 races of the season can really bring us. Or 3, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the other races this season, looking at the schedule now, I think it's going to provide a great challenge for some of these drivers. I think next race, 2 weeks from now on November 1st, same time, same place, we're heading to the Circuit of the Americas, COTA. I think it's going to be a really unique challenge for these drivers. It's a really tricky track in iRacing. A lot of blind corners, especially in that first sector with all those S's. Then other iconic tracks, Monza. That's going to be a very, very difficult track for some drivers, especially the start. Monza, notorious for incidents in turn 1. So I think these drivers have to be careful heading down for that race. And also the Red Bull Ring, another fantastic track for these drivers. I think that's going to be a great opportunity. I think it's a pretty short track. So that's going to give a lot of chances to go around and get the overtaking opportunities more often. So I think
Yeah.
Monza and the Red Bull Ring are going to be races to watch out for.
I these next 3 races, I'm super excited for. COTA. What an exceptional race! We're going there this weekend for Formula One. Monza, it's just an iconic track. I mean, you can't get more iconic than Monza. It's just such a great track to drive around. I think it produces some really good racing. And then out of that 3, we're actually ending on Red Bull Ring, which is my absolute all-time favorite track. I think it is the most entertaining track. It is the fastest track, I believe. I think of the tracks we're going to here tonight. Maybe Laguna Seca is a little quicker, but I know it is a very, very fast track, and it produces some great racing, great overtakes, especially into turn 3 there. And I'm excited to end on that note. But next time, November 1st, COTA, gonna be a good race.
Yeah, absolutely, Christian. I just got to correct you there for 1 second. Monza, fastest by speed. Red Bull Ring, fastest by lap time.
Yes,
right?
that's where I was going with
you
that.
Can't,
I know, yes.
Yeah, you can't discount Monza as the simplest speed. I think there's some people who give you a lot of slack for that one.
Yeah, I'm happy you corrected me. Monza is very quick, especially that sweeping right-hander onto that front straight right before that chicane at the very end of it. Very, very fast track. I'm super excited to see that. But yes, Red Bull Ring in terms of time, it is the fastest track. It is a small track, deceptively. I think it's just a very tall track.
Yeah, a lot of straightaways in the Red Bull Ring, a lot of opportunities for overtaking. But
Yes.
I think that's going to do it for the CIL GT3 Challenge here tonight. We talked about the GT3 schedule, but we also got the CIL Cup Series next week at Darlington Raceway. It's going to be a good race at the Lady in Black. Monday night Prospect Series race is going to be some of the newcomers trying to race their way into the Premier Series on Tuesday. So be sure not to miss that race Tuesday night. It's going to be a good one at Darlington. Also, as we just mentioned, 2 weeks from now, on Monday, we are going to have the Formula C Series taking the reins, and I believe the Formula C Series is at. Got to double check now. At the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So that's going to be a great circuit to watch. It's going to be some great racing for those Formula 4 cars. And then, like we said, 2 weeks from now, the CIL GT3 Challenge takes on COTA. So, Christian, you have anything else to add before we send the viewers on their way?
No, I mean, I'm just kind of excited for the next race, and I hope to see all of you guys there as well. And yeah, it's been a really good one, and I'm really excited for the last half of this season to go ahead.
Absolutely. And well, I think that'll do it for us here at the CIL. On behalf of Christian Hill and myself, as well as everyone here at the CIL, we want to thank you for watching tonight's broadcast, and we hope to see you tune in again sometime soon.